The shuttle descended slowly onto the surface of Zareth Prime, its metal frame gleaming under the pale light of the planet's twin suns. Ambassador Rylan gripped the edge of his seat, feeling a mix of relief and unease. After years of travel through the stars, negotiating treaties and observing alien civilizations, he was finally returning to the human colony he had helped establish decades ago. The thought of seeing familiar faces, of walking the streets he once knew, filled him with hope. But as the shuttle's landing gears touched the soft, dusty ground, Rylan noticed something odd. The colony that had been marked on his maps was there, but it looked different. Buildings shimmered with energy fields and strange symbols glowed on their walls. The air hummed faintly as if carrying a pulse of unseen life. He frowned, adjusting his suit controls, wondering if he had misread the coordinates. Stepping out onto the platform, Rylan was greeted by the colony's apparent leaders, or what he thought were leaders. They looked human at first glance, but their eyes glowed faintly in the sunlight. Their movements were precise, almost too perfect, as if each step was measured and calculated. They bowed slightly, their voices smooth and even, yet somehow lacking the warmth of natural human speech. "Welcome back, Ambassador," one of them said, his tone polite but strange. "We have awaited your return." Rylan nodded, trying to mask his unease. "It's good to be home," he said, though his words felt hollow in the unnatural stillness around him. He scanned the crowd of people nearby. They were all moving in sync, talking quietly among themselves, yet their expressions seemed distant, almost empty. As he walked through the streets, he noticed more signs that something was not right. Children played in the open, but their laughter had a musical quality, almost like an echo of a song rather than true joy. Adults carried out daily tasks efficiently, but there was no chaos, no randomness, no humanity in the way one would expect in a thriving colony. Rylan's curiosity turned to concern. He approached an elderly woman who was tending to a small garden. Her hair was silver, her skin weathered, yet her eyes had the same faint glow he had seen on the others. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Where are the humans? Where are the people I left behind?" The woman's gaze softened, but she did not answer directly. Instead, she gestured to the horizon. "They are here." "In a way," she said. "But not all who appear human are what they seem." Rylan's heart skipped a beat. He had faced alien species, navigated political betrayals, and survived dangerous negotiations. But he had never expected to return to his own colony and find it changed in ways he could barely understand. "What do you mean?" he asked, though he already feared the answer. Before the woman could respond, a group of children approached, their movements synchronized. One of them, a boy of about 10, stopped in front of Rylan and tilted his head curiously. His eyes glowed brighter than the others, and when he spoke, his voice was calm, almost mechanical. "Ambassador," he said, "you should know. Not all of your people remained unchanged. Some evolved differently." Rylan frowned. "Evolved? How?" The boy's lips curled into a faint smile. "The aliens you negotiated with long ago. They were not like the ones you met. They created human-alien hybrids. They taught them, shaped them, guided them. The colony you see now includes them." Rylan felt a cold weight settle in his chest. He had assumed the colony would be a place of progress, but he had expected progress through human ingenuity, not through transformation by alien design. His mind raced. Were the real humans still here? Had they been forced to adapt, or had they been removed entirely? Before he could ask more, a young girl appeared from behind the crowd. She looked entirely human. No glowing eyes, no unnatural symmetry. Her dark hair fell in waves around her shoulders, and her brown eyes were filled with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She stepped forward cautiously. "You're Ambassador Rylan," she said. "I've been waiting for someone who can help us." Rylan blinked. "Who are you?" "My name is Lyra," she replied. "I'm one of the humans who was not changed. The others, they were turned into something else. Some call them hybrids, some call them experiments. I call them my people's shadow." Rylan's mind struggled to process her words. He had negotiated peace and trade, handled alien diplomacy with precision, but this was personal. The humans he had left behind, the ones who had trusted him to guide them, had been altered without his knowledge, and now he was face to face with the last unaltered human of the colony. "Where are the others?" he asked, lowering his voice. Lyra hesitated, glancing around at the glowing-eyed crowd. They are hidden, she said. Some underground, some in secret zones far from the hybrids. They are afraid, and they don't trust anyone outside their circles. They think the hybrids will replace them completely. Rylan nodded slowly. He felt a surge of determination. If there were humans still untouched, still true to their origins, he would find them. He would understand what had happened, and he would ensure their safety. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but he felt ready. He had faced far greater challenges before. As he and Lyra began walking toward the edges of the colony, he noticed the hybrids observing them. Their glowing eyes followed each movement, silent but watchful. Some of them whispered to each other, their voices blending in a low, harmonic tone that carried through the air. Rylan felt their intelligence, their curiosity, and their subtle caution. They know you're not one of them, Lyra whispered. Some admire you, some fear you, but most, they simply want to see what you will do. Rylan's jaw tightened. Then we'll show them the human way, he said quietly. Compassion, courage, and reason. That's something no hybrid can take from us, no matter how much they change. Lyra smiled faintly, though her eyes betrayed her worry. It won't be easy, she said. They are fast learners, stronger and smarter than us in many ways, but they lack what makes us human. That's why you're here. Rylan took a deep breath. The suns were setting, casting long shadows across the colony. The glowing symbols on the buildings pulsed softly, and he felt the weight of unseen eyes on him. Somewhere in this transformed colony were the humans he had sworn to protect. Somewhere the future of humanity was quietly waiting. Then we start tonight, he said, determination in his voice. We find them, we understand them, and we make sure humanity survives, no matter what it takes. As they moved toward the outskirts, the whispers grew louder, the glow of the hybrid's eyes more intense. Rylan knew this was only the beginning. He had returned to what he thought was home, but home had changed. And in the shadows of the colony, a new story of humans, hybrids, and survival was about to unfold. The first night on GalacticPrime passed with quiet tension. Rylan and Lyra camped near an abandoned research facility, keeping watch. The sounds of the colony at night were strange. Low hums, distant whispers, and occasional bursts of light from the glowing structures. Neither spoke much, both lost in thought. Lyra finally broke the silence. You need to know. Some of them are dangerous. Not because they want to hurt humans, but because they don't understand limitations. They are clever, too clever, and sometimes they act without thought for consequences. Rylan nodded. Then we must guide them. Not with force, but with understanding. They are humans too, in a way. We cannot destroy what we do not understand. As dawn approached, Rylan looked out over the colony. The hybrids were moving through the streets, performing tasks with perfect precision, and somewhere below, hidden from view, were the humans who had yet to emerge. He clenched his fists. He had returned, yes, but what he had found was not the colony he remembered, and what lay ahead would test not only his skills as an ambassador, but his very understanding of what it meant to be human. And somewhere in the glow of the hybrid's eyes, a silent question waited. Would humanity survive its own creations? The morning sun rose slowly over GalacticPrime, casting a pale orange light across the colony. Ambassador Rylan and Lyra moved cautiously through the outskirts, keeping to the shadows. The streets were empty, save for a few hybrids performing their tasks with quiet precision. The closer they got to the center, the more Rylan could feel the subtle difference between these hybrids and the humans he once knew. Lyra led him to a narrow passage between two energy towers, stopping only when they reached a small hidden doorway carved into the rock. This is one of the entrances to the underground zones, she explained. It's where the real humans are hiding. They've been separated from the hybrids for years. Some don't even believe you exist anymore. Rylan studied the doorway, the metal frame faintly glowing with protective energy. And the others? He asked. They are scattered, Lyra said softly. Some were moved to other zones far from the main colony. Others stayed close but were careful never to be seen. The hybrids, they think they are the only ones left. Rylan nodded. He felt a heavy responsibility pressing on him. The humans of GalacticPrime had trusted him once, and now he had returned to find them hiding, living in fear, while their own creations walked freely above ground. They descended, the narrow steps into the underground, the air growing cooler and damp. The walls were lined with rough stone, and soft lights illuminated the path. The faint hum of energy from above barely reached them here. Finally, they arrived in a wide chamber, filled with people of all ages, humans who had never been altered, who still carried the traits of their species in full. Rylan paused, overwhelmed. Faces turned toward him, some filled with hope, others with doubt. Children peeked from behind their parents, curious but wary. The elders stepped forward slowly, studying him as carefully as he studied them. One of the elders, a man with silver hair and deep-set eyes, spoke first. "You are Rylan, the ambassador," he said. His voice was calm but carried the weight of experience. "We have heard rumors of your return, and now we see it is true. But why? Why have you come?" Rylan bowed slightly. "I came because I promised to protect this colony," he said. "I promised to ensure that humanity survives, and I intend to keep that promise. But I need your help. I need to understand what has happened while I was away." The elders exchanged glances. Finally, a woman stepped forward. Her eyes were clear, sharp, and unaltered. "You must know," she said. "The aliens you made agreements with long ago, they were not fully what they seemed. They created hybrids, human-alien combinations, to test and observe us. Some of the colonists were taken, altered, and returned. Others were hidden here, underground. We have been waiting, hoping that someone would come who could speak for us above ground." Rylan's mind raced. He had suspected some truth, but hearing it confirmed filled him with both anger and determination. "Then we need to act carefully," he said. "We cannot confront the hybrids openly yet. Many of them do not understand limits. Some may see us as threats." A young man stepped forward from the crowd, his hands shaking slightly. "How can we trust you?" he asked. "We've been hiding for years. The hybrids are strong. They know more than we do, and if they realize we are here, they will not harm you," Rylan interrupted gently. "Not if we act wisely, but you must trust me. I have experience in diplomacy and strategy, and in understanding beings stronger than ourselves. And I have Lyra here, who knows the colony and its people." Lyra smiled faintly, though tension still lingered in her expression. "We will need patience," she said. "The hybrids are intelligent. They observe everything. If we move too fast, we risk exposing ourselves. But if we move wisely, we can guide them, and we can protect the humans." Rylan nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. "Then let's begin. Tell me everything you know. Every detail about the hybrids, their abilities, their leaders, and their weaknesses. We need a plan." The elders and Lyra began to speak, recounting the years of secret observation, the subtle experiments conducted by the aliens, and the ways the hybrids had been taught to mimic human behaviors. Some hybrids could communicate. Without speaking, some could solve problems faster than any human mind, and some could manipulate environments with technology the humans did not fully understand. Rylan listened intently, absorbing every detail. He realized that the hybrids were not evil, nor were they completely controllable. They were a new form of life, intelligent and powerful, yet lacking the human experience of empathy and moral choice. "This is more complicated than I thought," Rylan muttered. "We cannot simply confront them. We need a strategy that combines diplomacy, understanding, and human ingenuity." Lyra nodded. "Some hybrids will respond to reason, especially those who are curious or feel loyalty to humans. Others may need to be guided, shown the value of human compassion. But we must act quickly. The longer we wait, the more confident the hybrids become in their independence." Rylan paced slowly, thinking. "Then we begin by making contact with those who are open to dialogue. We learn from them, and we use their influence to reach the others. We cannot force cooperation, but we can inspire it." The elders murmured among themselves, then one stepped forward. "There is a hybrid child above ground who observes more than anyone else," he said. "It is young but unusually intelligent. If you can speak to it, you may gain insight into the hybrid's perspective. But beware. It may test you." Ryland's jaw tightened. Then we start there. Lyra, lead me to this child. They ascended, through a narrow hidden shaft, emerging near the central plaza of the colony. Above them, the hybrids were active, performing their daily routines. Their movements were precise, their glowing eyes scanning the environment constantly. Among them, Ryland spotted a small figure, a child no older than 10, standing apart from the others, watching intently. Its eyes glowed brighter than the rest. Ryland approached slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The child tilted its head, studying him carefully. "You are the ambassador," it said in a calm, clear voice. "You returned. Why?" "I returned to protect humanity," Ryland said. "To understand what has happened here, and to ensure that humans and hybrids can coexist peacefully." The child considered him for a moment. Then it asked, "Do you know what humans truly are? Do you understand their strength?" Ryland paused. "I do. Humans are resilient, creative, and compassionate. We adapt. We survive. We care for each other. That is what makes us strong, not just our bodies, not just our intelligence." The child's glowing eyes flickered, as if it were analyzing his words. "Most humans forgot that," it said. "The hybrids were created to test survival, to surpass humans, but they do not yet understand humanity. They do not yet feel it." Ryland nodded. "Then we will teach them, slowly, carefully. But first, we must gain their trust. You can help us." The child looked at him for a long moment, then finally nodded. "I will observe you, but if you fail, I will report back. The others trust me to judge." Ryland smiled faintly, though he felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. "Then we begin," he said. "We learn from each other, and we show that humans are not to be underestimated." As they walked back toward the hidden entrance to the underground zones, Ryland realized that the colony he had returned to was no longer just human. It was something more, a mixture of human ingenuity and alien design. But within that mixture, he saw hope. If humans could guide the hybrids, if they could teach compassion, courage, and reason, there was a chance to create a society stronger than any he had seen. And somewhere in the glow of the hybrid's eyes, he sensed a question waiting. Could humans truly lead the future of their own creations? Ryland tightened his fist, determination shining in his eyes. "Yes," he whispered. "We will lead. And humanity will survive no matter what it takes." That night, as the twin suns set over ZERITH-Prime, the underground humans gathered around small lights, listening to Ryland and Lyra speak. Plans were made. Alliances were discussed. Strategies were formed, and above ground, the hybrids continued their routines, unaware that a subtle shift was beginning, a human influence that could change the colony forever. The first steps had been taken, but the journey ahead was dangerous, uncertain, and full of challenges that would test every part of their strength. The ambassador had returned, but now the real work had begun, and somewhere in the shadows the hybrids watched, waiting to see if humans could truly rise to the challenge. The next morning, Ryland and Lyra moved carefully through the central plaza of the colony. The air was cool, and the faint hum of energy from the glowing structures filled the streets. Above them, the hybrids went about their tasks, precise and efficient, yet their glowing eyes followed every movement of the humans below. Ryland glanced at Lyra. "We need to start forming alliances," he said quietly. "Not all hybrids are the same. Some are curious, some are loyal, and some may not be trustworthy. We begin with the ones who can reason." Lyra nodded. "There is a group near the eastern sector. They often study humans from a distance. They are intelligent, but they do not yet see themselves as superior. If we approach carefully, they might listen." As they walked, a small group of hybrids emerged from an alleyway. They were older than the child Ryland had met, their features blending human and alien traits. Their eyes glowed faintly, but unlike others, their movements were less rigid, more thoughtful. One of them, a female hybrid, stepped forward. Her hair shimmered with a faint silver tint, and her voice was smooth but not cold. "Ambassador Ryland," she said, "we have heard of your return. Why do you seek contact with us? Rylan smiled, keeping his tone calm. I seek understanding, he said. Not conflict. I want humans and hybrids to coexist, to learn from each other, to ensure that all of us survive and thrive on GalacticPrime. The female hybrid tilted her head, studying him carefully. Many humans fear us, she said. They believe we will replace them. Yet you speak of coexistence. Why should we trust your kind? Rylan stepped closer, keeping his hands visible. Because survival is not only about strength. It is about wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Humans have survived challenges that no other species could. We can teach and guide. We can show hybrids that power is not everything. Cooperation is strength. The hybrid seemed to consider his words. Finally, she nodded slightly. Very well. We will observe. But understand this, if we sense deception, if we feel your intentions are false, you will not succeed. Rylan felt a spark of hope. Then let us begin honestly, he said. We start by sharing knowledge, by listening to each other, by learning what it means to truly coexist. Over the next several hours, Rylan and Lyra moved through the colony with the hybrid group, learning about their routines, their problem-solving methods, and their perspective on the humans below. The hybrids were intelligent, faster and more analytical than humans in many ways, but they lacked the emotional depth that Rylan knew was essential for survival. They are impressive, Lyra whispered, but they do not yet understand loyalty or compassion. They see humans as fragile, inefficient. That is why they underestimate us, Rylan nodded. Then we show them that those qualities are strengths. They cannot calculate courage or empathy, but they can learn from example. As the day progressed, Rylan noticed subtle changes in the hybrids' behavior. They asked questions about human history, about decisions humans had made, about moments of sacrifice and bravery. They did not just seek information, they sought understanding. That is our opportunity, Rylan said. We answer honestly. We share stories, choices, struggles. We show that humans are more than calculations, more than logic. We are more than survival instincts. That is our advantage. Lyra led him to a small amphitheater in the center of the colony. The hybrids gathered around, curious but cautious. Rylan began recounting stories of human exploration, moments when humans had faced impossible odds and survived, moments when they had shown courage and kindness to one another, and even to other species. The hybrids listened silently, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Some shifted slightly, as if processing not just words, but the meaning behind them. A young hybrid girl stepped forward, her head tilted in curiosity. Humans are brave, she said finally. But why do you value emotion so much? They seem unpredictable. Rylan smiled. Because emotions guide our choices. They teach us what matters. They give us hope, courage, and reason to act even when logic fails. Strength alone is not enough. Cooperation, empathy, and understanding are just as important. The girl remained thoughtful, then nodded. Perhaps we have much to learn. Encouraged, Rylan continued. He spoke of human mistakes, failures, and lessons learned. He admitted weaknesses and miscalculations, showing that humans were not perfect, but that imperfection was part of their strength. The hybrids listened, some visibly intrigued, others skeptical. By the end of the day, a small group of hybrids had agreed to meet secretly with Rylan and Lyra again. They were curious, open to dialogue, and willing to explore coexistence. Others remained distant, observing from afar, unsure whether to trust the humans. Lyra turned to Rylan as they left the amphitheater. We made progress, she said. Some hybrids are willing to listen, but others, they are watching. They will not act immediately, but they will test us. You must be ready. Rylan nodded. I expected nothing less. This is only the beginning. We must be patient, careful, and consistent. If we show the right example, they will learn. If we fail, the colony could fracture, and humans could be at risk. As night fell, Rylan and Lyra returned to the hidden underground zone. The humans there waited anxiously, eager for news. Rylan shared what he had learned, the hybrids' curiosity, their intelligence, their willingness to listen in small ways. The humans nodded cautiously. Can we trust them? One of the elders asked. Rylan thought for a moment. We can try, but trust is earned. We show them who we are, what humans stand for, and why cooperation benefits everyone. We do not act with force. We act with guidance, patience, and wisdom. That is our advantage, Lyra added. The hybrids are not evil. They are not enemies. They are something new. But new things must be guided, or they may cause harm unintentionally. We are their bridge, Rylan. If we fail, both humans and hybrids could suffer. Rylan looked around the room, seeing determination in the humans' faces. Then we succeed. For them, for us, for the future. The next morning, they returned above ground. The hybrid child who had observed him before stepped forward, flanked by several older hybrids. Its glowing eyes seemed brighter than before. "You have returned," it said. "I have watched you. You speak truthfully, yet I sense strength. Why do you persist?" "Because humanity survives through hope and courage," Rylan said firmly. "Through understanding, resilience, and compassion. These are qualities you cannot calculate, but you can learn from us if you choose. We do not seek to dominate. We seek to guide, to coexist, and to ensure the future of all life here." The child tilted its head, considering his words. "Very well," it said finally. "You may continue. But remember this, some hybrids do not wish to coexist. Some believe only in survival of the strongest. If they discover your plans, they will act against you." Rylan's jaw tightened. "Then we act wisely. We show them what it means to coexist, and we prepare for those who will resist." The day passed with careful observation. Rylan and Lyra learned more about the hybrids' capabilities, their intelligence, their problem-solving skills, their ways of communicating without speech. Each interaction was a test, a small puzzle to solve. They began to form a network of hybrids willing to cooperate, creating the beginnings of a fragile alliance. That evening, as the twin sun set over Zareth Prime, Rylan stood at the edge of the plaza, watching the hybrids move through the streets. Some glanced at him with curiosity, others remained focused on their tasks, but all were aware of his presence. He knew that this was a turning point. Lyra joined him silently. "You think we can really succeed?" she asked softly. Rylan looked at her, determination shining in his eyes. "We must. If humans cannot guide these hybrids, then the colony, perhaps even the species, could face disaster. But I have hope. The hybrids are intelligent and some can understand. We will show them the human way." Lyra nodded, though concern lingered in her expression. "It will not be easy," she said, "and not all hybrids will listen. Some may act before they understand." Rylan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we prepare step by step. We learn, we guide, and we protect. That is all we can do, and we do it together." As darkness fell, the colony glimmered with faint lights, the hybrids' glowing eyes marking their presence. Below ground, humans whispered and planned, full of hope and caution. And somewhere among them, Rylan knew, the future of Zareth Prime was quietly being rewritten. The first alliances had been formed. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and tests of loyalty, courage, and intelligence. But for the first time since his return, Rylan felt that hope was not just a memory, it was real. And in the quiet glow of the colony, a single thought lingered in his mind. Humanity had returned. And it would fight, guide, and survive, no matter what the hybrids or the galaxy had planned. The morning air over Zareth Prime was sharp and cool, the twin suns rising slowly above the glowing buildings of the colony. Ambassador Rylan stood on a high platform, observing the hybrid population as they moved through the streets below. Some paused to look at him, their glowing eyes tracking his every movement, while others focused on their tasks, seemingly indifferent. Rylan felt a tension in the air, an unspoken challenge in the way the hybrids observed him. He knew that not all of them would welcome human guidance. Some would resist, testing his patience and his strategies. Lyra approached quietly, her steps soft against the metal platform. "We've made allies," she said, her voice low. "But not all hybrids are convinced. Some see your efforts as interference. They believe humans are weak, that we cannot guide them." Rylan nodded, his jaw tight. "Then we prepare. We cannot force cooperation. We can only show strength, reason, and understanding. The hybrids will choose whether to follow, but we must be ready for resistance." Their first meeting of the day was with a hybrid council in the eastern sector. The council consisted of older hybrids, each more human in appearance but clearly carrying traits enhanced by alien design. Their glowing eyes flickered as they watched Rylan and Lyra enter. "You return," one of the council members said, her voice calm but commanding. "We have observed your interactions with the younger hybrids. You speak of coexistence, but why should we trust your methods?" Rylan stepped forward, keeping his tone steady. Because we have something you cannot replicate: experience, morality, and empathy. You may solve problems quickly, analyze outcomes efficiently, and adapt fast, but understanding emotions, building trust, and inspiring loyalty, these are strengths unique to humans. The council members exchanged subtle glances, some shifting slightly. Many humans fear us, another member said. They believe we will dominate. How do you propose to show that your intentions are genuine? Rylan took a deep breath. By action, not words. We will not impose. We will guide. We will teach without controlling. And we will protect humans while showing hybrids the value of cooperation. A young hybrid girl, one of the curious observers from previous days, stepped forward. Her silver-tinted hair shimmered in the sunlight and her eyes glowed softly. Words are easy, she said. But can humans act without weakness? Can they protect without fear? Rylan met her gaze firmly. We can. Humans survive by using strength, strategy, and resilience. We act with courage when necessary, and we make choices guided by both reason and heart. That is why we can guide hybrids to coexist, not dominate. The council murmured among themselves. Some nodded subtly, clearly considering his words. Others remained skeptical, watching every movement, waiting for a mistake. Rylan sensed the challenge. The hybrids were intelligent, but their understanding of human values was incomplete. Lyra whispered beside him, "This is their test. They are judging not only your words, but your presence, your confidence, and your ability to remain calm under scrutiny." Rylan nodded silently, feeling the weight of responsibility. "Then we show them what humans can do," he whispered back. After the meeting, Rylan and Lyra returned to the underground zone to discuss strategy with the hidden humans. The room was tense. Everyone understood that progress above ground was fragile. Some hybrids will never cooperate, an elder said. They are too confident in their abilities, too certain that strength alone is enough. How do we deal with them? Rylan considered this. We do not confront them directly. We influence indirectly. We teach through example, show them the value of empathy, of patience, of cooperation. Some will learn and others will follow once they see the results. Lyra added, and we need to prepare for challenges. Some hybrids are unpredictable, especially those who have not been observed closely. We must be ready for anything. Over the next several days, Rylan and Lyra worked carefully to expand their network of hybrids willing to listen. They met in hidden corners, exchanged knowledge, and shared stories of human resilience. Slowly, trust began to grow among some hybrids, while others remained distant, observing silently. One afternoon, Rylan was approached by the young hybrid child who had first tested him. Its eyes glowed brighter than usual, and its voice carried an unusual intensity. There are others, it said, older hybrids. They do not approve of your methods. They will test you. They may act against your efforts, Rylan nodded. Then we prepare. We will not react impulsively. We will meet any challenge with strategy and calm. The humans and the cooperative hybrids will support each other. That is our strength. The child's gaze lingered on him. I will watch. I will report. But I will not act against you for now. The others may not be so cautious. That night, Rylan and Lyra returned to the underground humans. They discussed the warning and devised a plan to maintain communication with the cooperative hybrids while keeping the more skeptical ones at a distance. We need to be careful, Lyra said. If the older hybrids act without understanding, they could create conflict that endangers both humans and the cooperative hybrids. Rylan nodded. Then we stay alert. We gather information. We anticipate their moves. And we show that humans are not to be underestimated. Strategy, patience, and courage, these will guide us through. Days later, the warning became reality. An older hybrid, one of the skeptical council members, appeared in the central plaza without warning. Its presence caused a stir among the population, both human and hybrid. Its glowing eyes scanned the crowd, assessing, calculating, and clearly displeased. Rylan stepped forward, keeping his hands visible. We do not seek conflict, he said calmly. We are here to foster understanding, to protect humans and hybrids alike, and to ensure the survival of this colony. The hybrid's gaze was sharp, piercing. You speak of protection and understanding, it said. Yet humans are weak. They hesitate. They make mistakes. Why should we follow guidance from those who falter? Rylan's voice remained steady. Humans survive not because we are perfect, But because we learn from mistakes, act with courage, and work together. Strength alone does not ensure survival. Wisdom, compassion, and cooperation do. The hybrid considered him, then stepped closer. Then prove it, it said simply. Actions, not words. Show us your ability to guide, to protect, to survive. Only then will we listen. Rylan met the challenge without hesitation. Very well, he said. We will demonstrate. But understand this, cooperation benefits everyone. Conflict benefits no one. Over the next several days, Rylan and the cooperative hybrids worked to solve a series of crises in the colony. Power fluctuations in the energy grids, malfunctions in environmental controls, and sudden disruptions in communication systems. Each time, Rylan demonstrated human ingenuity, patience, and strategic thinking. The skeptical hybrids observed closely, their glowing eyes following every movement. Slowly, their skepticism began to shift. They saw that humans were not weak, they were adaptable, resilient, and capable of thinking in ways that hybrids, despite their intelligence, could not. Lyra whispered one evening as they monitored the energy grid. They are beginning to respect you. Some are still cautious, but their perspective is changing. They see that humans can lead without dominating. Rylan nodded. That is progress. But we cannot become complacent. Some hybrids will test us further. We must anticipate their actions, be ready to respond, and continue to show that coexistence is possible. As night fell, the colony glowed softly under the twin suns' fading light. Rylan stood on a platform looking down at the streets below. The cooperative hybrids moved with quiet purpose. The skeptical ones observed silently, and the humans below were cautiously hopeful. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, heavier than ever. The colony's future was fragile, balanced between cooperation and conflict, between understanding and resistance. But he also felt hope. The first steps toward unity had been taken, and he could see the beginnings of change. Lyra joined him silently, her eyes reflecting the glow of the city. Do you think we can succeed? She asked softly. Rylan looked at her, determination shining in his eyes. We must. Humanity has survived impossible odds before. We can guide, protect, and inspire. The hybrids will learn, and together we will build a future stronger than any of us imagined. As darkness settled over ZERITH-Prime, a quiet hum filled the air, a mix of energy and anticipation. Above ground, the hybrids watched, some curious, some cautious, some beginning to question their own beliefs. Below, humans whispered and prepared, hopeful and vigilant. Rylan took a deep breath. The challenge was far from over. Resistance would come, and tests of courage, wisdom, and patience would follow. But he knew one thing for certain. Humanity had returned, and it would fight, guide, and survive no matter what the future held. The first true confrontation had passed, but the lessons learned would shape the days to come. And somewhere in the glow of the hybrids' eyes, a question lingered. Could humans and hybrids truly coexist? Rylan's answer was clear. Yes, he whispered. If we remain patient, wise, and courageous, we can. The dawn over ZERITH-Prime brought a quiet tension. The twin suns rose slowly, casting a pale golden light across the colony. Ambassador Rylan stood on a high platform, looking over the streets below. Today was crucial. After weeks of careful planning, diplomacy, and subtle influence, the moment had come to unite humans and cooperative hybrids in a visible demonstration of trust and strength. Lyra joined him silently, her dark eyes reflecting determination. Are you ready? She asked softly. Rylan nodded, tightening his fists. We have prepared. Now we must act. This is the moment when humans and hybrids prove that coexistence is possible. The cooperative hybrids gathered first, assembling in a wide circle near the central plaza. Their glowing eyes watched each other and the humans carefully, sensing the importance of this day. Nearby, skeptical hybrids lingered in the shadows, observing without interference, yet their presence was a silent reminder that not all trust had been earned. Rylan addressed the crowd, his voice steady and clear. Humans and hybrids have lived side by side on this planet for years, yet misunderstanding has created fear. Today we take the first step toward true cooperation. We show that intelligence, strength, and courage are powerful, but compassion, understanding, and trust make us stronger together. The crowd listened, a mixture of humans and hybrids. Some nodded subtly, others remained cautious. and a few skeptical hybrids watched silently. Lyra stepped forward, addressing the hybrid child who had first observed Rylan. "You have been our guide, helping us understand the hybrid's perspective. Today we show that humans and hybrids can achieve more together than alone. Will you join us?" The child's glowing eyes flickered thoughtfully. Finally, it nodded. "I will observe and I will support those who choose cooperation. Today the colony may change." Rylan gestured to the cooperative hybrids and humans. "We will demonstrate unity through action. Today we solve problems together, not as separate groups but as a single community. Watch and learn, and perhaps the skeptical will understand." The first challenge arose almost immediately. A sudden malfunction struck one of the colony's energy towers, causing a flicker of instability in the surrounding structures. Sparks flew and the glowing symbols on the nearby buildings began to pulse erratically. Rylan stepped forward calmly. "This is our opportunity," he said. "Cooperate, communicate, and solve the problem together." Humans and cooperative hybrids moved quickly, forming teams. Rylan led one group to stabilize the tower's power core, using both human ingenuity and the hybrid's analytical abilities. Lyra coordinated communication between the teams, ensuring that each task was understood and executed efficiently. The skeptical hybrids observed, their glowing eyes fixed on the unfolding scene. At first, they seemed to doubt the humans' abilities, but as the teams worked seamlessly, combining intelligence, strategy, and adaptability, their expressions shifted. They could see that humans were not weak. They were resourceful, courageous, and capable of leading under pressure. The energy tower stabilized, the glowing symbols returning to their normal rhythm. The crowd erupted in a mixture of relief and admiration. Humans and hybrids had worked together successfully, proving that cooperation could solve problems faster and more efficiently than separation. Rylan stood tall, breathing steadily. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Humans and hybrids can achieve more together. Strength alone is not enough. Understanding, trust, and collaboration create true power." A skeptical hybrid stepped forward, its glowing eyes flickering. "Humans have shown capability," it said slowly. "But can cooperation last beyond a single challenge? Can it survive mistakes, misunderstandings, or disagreement?" Rylan met its gaze firmly. "Yes, cooperation is not easy. It requires patience, listening, and learning from mistakes. But if we value trust and understanding, if we act with courage and reason, it can last. Today we proved it is possible. Tomorrow we continue building that trust." The skeptical hybrid hesitated, then nodded slightly. It was a subtle gesture, but it was the first sign of change. Others in the shadowed crowd mirrored the movement, their doubts beginning to shift toward curiosity and cautious hope. Later, Rylan and Lyra led the cooperative group to repair an environmental system that had been malfunctioning for weeks. Humans and hybrids worked side by side, sharing knowledge and strategies. Rylan demonstrated techniques that the hybrids had not considered, while the hybrids contributed their analytical skills to predict and prevent potential failures. By midday, the entire colony had witnessed humans and hybrids working together. Even the most skeptical observers began to recognize the value of collaboration. Some approached cautiously, seeking to join in, while others watched silently, reconsidering their assumptions. Lyra turned to Rylan as they took a brief pause. "They are starting to see it," she said softly. "The skeptical hybrids. Some of them are reconsidering. They understand that humans are not to be underestimated." Rylan nodded. "It takes time, but today we planted the seed. The challenge now is to nurture it. Trust grows slowly, but once it takes root, it can change everything." As evening approached, Rylan called a gathering in the central plaza. Humans and hybrids alike assembled, their glowing eyes and hopeful faces reflecting the fading sunlight. The atmosphere was tense but charged with potential. Rylan spoke to the crowd, his voice strong and clear. "Today we proved that humans and hybrids can work together. We solved challenges that neither could have handled alone. But this is only the beginning. True unity requires ongoing effort, patience, and courage. Together we can build a future where both humans and hybrids thrive, where we learn from each other, protect each other, and grow stronger together." The cooperative hybrids stepped forward, standing beside the humans. The young hybrid child who had first observed Rylan raised its glowing eyes to the crowd. "Humans have demonstrated strength beyond calculations," it said. "Cooperation is possible. Those who choose to join us will see the value of unity. One by one, skeptical hybrids began to step forward. Some hesitated, watching for signs of weakness or error. But as they observed the humans and cooperative hybrids interacting, they realized that unity was not weakness. It was a form of strength they had not understood. By nightfall, the central plaza was filled with humans and hybrids, standing together in cautious but hopeful unity. The glowing symbols on the buildings pulsed softly, reflecting a sense of harmony. The energy in the air felt different, balanced, alive, and promising. Rylan looked around, a sense of pride and relief washing over him. They had achieved something remarkable. Not perfection, not complete harmony, but the first true demonstration that humans and hybrids could coexist, cooperate, and thrive together. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the plaza. "We did it," she said quietly. "The colony is changing. They are beginning to see the value of trust and cooperation." Rylan smiled faintly. "It is only the beginning. But today we proved it is possible. Tomorrow we continue building on this foundation. And one day, humans and hybrids will not just coexist, they will lead this planet together." As the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the plaza, Rylan felt a sense of closure and hope. He had returned to a colony that seemed changed beyond recognition, filled with hybrids and hidden humans. He had faced uncertainty, doubt, and resistance, but through patience, strategy, and courage, he had united them. Above, the hybrids' glowing eyes shone softly, no longer cold and distant, but thoughtful and curious. Below, humans smiled with cautious optimism, their trust renewed. And in the quiet spaces of the colony, the future of Zareth-Prime had begun to take shape. A future guided by intelligence, compassion, and cooperation. Rylan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility ease slightly. He had returned as an ambassador, but he had become a bridge between species, a guide for coexistence and a protector of humanity's legacy. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "You brought hope," she said. "And now the colony can see it too." Rylan nodded, gazing at the horizon. "Hope is only the first step. The real work begins tomorrow. But for tonight, we have shown that unity is possible, that humans can guide, protect, and inspire, and that is worth everything." In the quiet glow of the colony, humans and hybrids stood together, a fragile but growing alliance. And somewhere in the depths of the city, the once hidden humans whispered words of hope and gratitude. The future of Zareth-Prime was uncertain. Yes, but for the first time it was shared, guided by intelligence, courage, and the enduring spirit of humanity. And as Rylan watched, he knew one thing for certain: humans had returned, not just to survive, but to lead, to guide, and to shape a future where coexistence was more than a dream. It was reality.